What happens when, one night, something unexpected occurs between a housekeeper and her employer, and the boss later finds out he got the housekeeper pregnant? Will he take responsibility for her, especially when they've always been mortal enemies? Let's find out in today's story. Hello, it's Uncle Joel. Come along with me to the very end, and I promise you will be delighted, thrilled, and inspired by this amazing story. Enjoy. Sweetheart, do you really have to go? Her mother asked. For us, Mom. Truly, Sabrina said, but we need you too. We need the money more, Mom. The mother couldn't stop her daughter, Sabrina, from leaving their small Ohio town for New York City to work. They had many debts to pay, and the little they earned by sewing clothes together just wasn't enough. It just so happened their neighbor Susan had returned home because her mother had a stroke. Susan needed someone to replace her at her employer's home, and Sabrina was the first person who came to mind. She knew how badly the young woman needed the money. Hello, Sabrina called, standing in front of a tall iron gate. She checked the address on the paper again to be sure she had the right place. She called a few more times, but no one answered. Her mouth fell open when the gate suddenly slid open by itself, even though no one touched it. Is this magic? She whispered to herself. A loud honk made her jump. She turned toward the sound. A sleek car rolled up the driveway, and a well-built man leaned his upper body partway out the window. Sabrina froze for a second at how strikingly handsome he was. Miss. What are you doing? He snapped, snapping her back to reality. Are you moving, or do I have to run you over? Sabrina darted aside to let the car pass. What a jerk, she muttered under her breath. As the car disappeared toward the garage, a security guard approached the gate. Sabrina hurried to him before it shut. Good afternoon, I'm Sabrina, the housekeeper Susan sent. She showed her ID. Come on in, the guard said, stepping aside. Sabrina entered, wide-eyed at the scale of the estate. Every corner of the mansion screamed wealth. The house manager, Mrs. Thompson, met them at the foyer. So you're the replacement, Mrs. Thompson said, looking her over. Yes, ma'am. What was your name again? Sabrina, ma'am. Mrs. Thompson led her down the long hallway. In this house, there's no room for laziness. There's a time for work and a time for rest. We're paid fairly, so we serve properly. Understand? I understand, Sabrina said. There are two things Mrs. Sullivan hates, laziness and sticky fingers. Okay, ma'am. Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan will be home any minute. Oh, they're here. Mrs. Thompson went to the door to welcome the homeowners. Sabrina followed, smoothing her uniform. Good afternoon, ma'am, sir, Sabrina greeted. Mrs. Christine Sullivan's eyes went to the new face. New, I see. Let me guess. You're Sabrina, right? Yes, ma'am. Christine, the woman corrected gently with a smile. Welcome to our home. Her words were brief, but they pierced Sabrina's heart. Our home. How lovely that sounded. Mrs. Thompson showed Sabrina to the maid's quarters where she'd sleep and introduced her to the rest of the staff. The first few hours felt surprisingly light. Not only were her employers warm and welcoming, but the other workers were kind as well. No wonder, Sabrina thought, that Susan had stayed with the Sullivan family for so long. That evening, Sabrina helped prepare dinner. Mrs. Thompson explained the rules and Sabrina's duties. Wearing her crisp uniform, Sabrina carried a tray. Juice, ma'am. Sir, she said with a bright smile, only to freeze when she saw the same young man who had yelled at her at the gate earlier. Her smile faltered. This is your juice, ma'am, she said to Christine, then turned to the husband. And here's yours, sir. Thanks, said Mr. Richard Sullivan. Sabrina approached the young man, the same one from the car. Her hands trembled at the memory of him shouting at her in the driveway. The glass tilted and some juice splashed onto him. What the? He shot to his feet, irritated. Juice soaked his shirt. I'm so sorry, sir, Sabrina panicked, dabbing at his shirt with a napkin. You need to be more careful, he snapped. Aaron, that's not how you speak to a lady, Richard said, firm but calm. Aaron didn't answer. Anger simmered in his eyes. He stalked away from the table. His father called after him, but Aaron didn't look back. That boy, Richard muttered, exhaling. He turned to Sabrina. You didn't do it on purpose. I'm really sorry, sir, she said, mortified. It's all right, he assured her, patting the tablecloth dry before heading to the kitchen for a fresh napkin. Sabrina had thought staying here might be easy. She was wrong, because of the young man named Aaron Sullivan. "Are you okay?" one of the housekeepers, Chelsea, asked later. "I heard Aaron snapped at you." "Please don't mind him," Chelsea said with a sympathetic shrug. "He's just aloof, arrogant. He should be thankful I need this job," Sabrina grumbled. "Sounds like there's more," Chelsea prodded. "At the gate earlier? He yelled at me like he owned me, like he was the one who gave birth to me," Sabrina said, arms crossed. "I can't believe he's Mr. Richard and Mrs. Christine's son. They're kind, humane people. He's different," Chelsea sighed. "Just let it go. If you don't want to lose this job, put up with him. Trust me." Chelsea pulled out a wad of bills, grinning. "This is what we need." "Where'd you get that?" Sabrina asked. "From my paycheck. Mrs. Sullivan gave us a bonus today. She liked our work." Chelsea winked. "You want this kind of pay? Put up with Aaron's attitude. If you quit and end up with stingy employers like my last ones, you'll regret it." "You have a point," Sabrina admitted, thinking of her mother and sibling back in Ohio. "I'll endure it. Here, load money for your phone." Chelsea handed her a $20 bill. "Thank you," Sabrina smiled, moved. The two became fast friends. They understood each other's struggles. A few days later, Chelsea flashed a mischievous smile. "Sabs, can you take this coffee to Aaron?" "Why me? You're already holding the tray, and I need the bathroom." "Like now." Before Sabrina could protest, Chelsea trotted away, leaving the tray in her hands. No choice. Sabrina took a deep breath and carried the coffee out to the garden. Aaron sat with his back to her, focused on his laptop, glasses on. "You can do this," she told herself. "Don't shake." "Good morning, sir. Here's your coffee," she said, placing it on the round table. "What's good about a morning that includes seeing you?" he said without looking up. "Close your eyes then," she muttered. "What?" "I said, please drink it before it gets cold," she replied quickly. He lifted the cup, took a sip and frowned. "Not sweet enough." "I'll add sugar," she said, forcing a smile. She returned a minute later. "Here you go, sir." He touched the cup. "It's cold. You sure you still want me to drink this? Might not even warm my throat." "I'm sorry. I'll make you a fresh one." She marched back to the kitchen, fuming. "Why is this house so big? Everything turns cold before you get to the other side." She made another cup and returned, sweat beading on her back and forehead. "Too sweet," he said after one sip. "You trying to give me diabetes?" Sabrina inhaled sharply, forcing down the explosion in her chest. She smiled again. "Let me fix it, sir." "It's fine," she screamed inside. "It is perfectly fine." She tamped down 3 teaspoons of coffee and brought it back. "Took you long enough," he said, tasting. "Too bitter." "What did you put in here?" "As bitter as your attitude," Sabrina muttered, out loud this time before she could stop herself. Aaron stared. "Excuse me. Just because my family pays your salary doesn't mean you get to mess with me." Sabrina spun on her heel and marched away before the fury made her cry. Aaron sat there, stunned. No one, ever, talked back to him like that. Instead of anger, something else flickered in his chest. Amusement. From then on, Sabrina learned the hard way that Aaron wasn't done making her life difficult. He would order her up to the rooftop to bring liquor, then not be there when she arrived. She'd find him laughing with friends by the pool instead. Not a single day passed without him finding a way to irritate her. The truth was, Aaron enjoyed getting a rise out of her. Something about Sabrina's frustration brought him a strange, guilty thrill, like a distraction whenever boredom set in at home. One afternoon, Chelsea popped her head into the kitchen. "Aaron's asking for you." "Why?" "No idea. He said go up to his room." "He's just going to mess with me again," Sabrina muttered. "Let it go. At least he's good-looking," Chelsea teased. "What am I supposed to do with his face if his attitude is sandpaper?" Sabrina grumbled, but she climbed the stairs anyway. "Hello, sir? Can I help you?" After months of his nonsense, Sabrina had perfected the art of polite fakery. "Come in," Aaron called from the balcony, back turned. "Clean my room." "Yes, sir." "What are you waiting for?" "Get to it." She forced herself to move, her body heavy with dread. The bed was a disaster. He just wanted to torture her. Who would be motivated to work in this? She stepped, and her foot pressed into something soft. She picked it up. Realization hit. "Disgusting," she yelped, bolting out the door. Aaron burst into laughter, delighted at his own petty prank. Down the hall, Sabrina leaned against the wall, mortified and nauseated. "Rough day?" Gina, another housekeeper, asked as Sabrina beelined to the bathroom. "That man," Sabrina said, shuddering. A few days later, Sabrina called home between tasks. "Mom, did you get the money I sent?" "Yes, honey." "Thank you. I paid off the grocery tab. I'll head into town later to buy food for the week." "That's good. How's my little brother?" "Playing with his cousins. Give him a hug for me. I have to get back to work." After the call, Sabrina tied up her hair, grabbed the pool skimmer and headed out. Saturdays were her pool cleaning days. Her mood was light, payday was yesterday, and best of all, Aaron had been away for a week on a big construction project in Texas. The house was calmer without him. Even when he only visited twice a week, he could ruin the whole 7 days. "Sabs," Chelsea called, "have you seen my phone? I put it in the drawer by our bed. You fell asleep with it." "Oh, thanks. After that, come inside. Snacks are ready." Sabrina nodded but kept working, stretching the net to reach some leaves at the center of the pool. The handle slipped from her wet hands and fell in. She knelt, reaching, but her arm wasn't long enough. She leaned farther, lost her balance, and fell into the water. "Help!" she cried, flailing. She couldn't swim. Panic set in as water filled her mouth and nose. The world blurred. Just when she thought she was done for, someone dove in and dragged her to the edge. He pulled her up onto the lawn, laid her on the grass, and tried to rouse her. She didn't respond. Aaron cursed under his breath, fear punching through his chest. He sealed his mouth over hers and gave CPR until she coughed and vomited pool water. When Sabrina's eyes fluttered open, the first thing she saw was Aaron's face, tight with worry. She burst into tears and threw her arms around him. "I thought I was going to die." He froze, then slowly wrapped his arms around her. He could hear her sobs and feel her heart pounding against his chest. "You're okay now," he said softly. "Don't worry." They stayed like that until Sabrina calmed. Aaron helped her sit at the garden table, the very spot where he'd tormented her about coffee. For the first time, he felt something unfamiliar when he looked at her. Pity, concern. Before, he'd always been amused by her struggle. Now he didn't like seeing her shaken. "You're soaked," Chelsea said, hurrying over with a towel and water. "Sir, here." "Thanks," Aaron said shortly, taking them and returning to Sabrina. "Here," he murmured, handing the water to Sabrina. Then he began gently towel-drying her hair. "What are you doing?" Sabrina asked, startled. "Drying your hair." "Isn't it obvious?" he said, focused. "But drink your water. And hush." Sabrina fell silent and let him fuss. It felt comforting. She wasn't used to kindness from him. In a weird way, she missed the bickering. It made more sense. "Go inside and change," he said softly when he finished. "You'll get sick." Sabrina stood and turned to face him. He was drenched too, water dripping from his hair, shirt clinging to a strong back and shoulders. He'd jumped in after her without a second thought. "Thank you," she said, voice low. He only nodded. She bowed her head and headed inside. "What happened?" Chelsea demanded as Sabrina tugged her into their room. "I fell in," Sabrina said, toweling her hair in front of the mirror. "You what?" Chelsea yelped, jumping up. "How?" Sabrina told her everything. Chelsea's brows lifted. "See? There's a decent guy hiding under so pretty face." Sabrina rolled her eyes. "He did it because otherwise he'd feel guilty watching me drown." "I thought you said he had no conscience." Sabrina had no answer. She dabbed on a bit of lip tint. "Anyway, I'm sure by tomorrow we'll be back to normal." "What if he keeps picking on you because he secretly likes you?" Chelsea teased. "Lots of guys did that to me in school." "He just has a bad attitude," Sabrina said. "There is no what if. We're oil and water." "Fine, fine. Come on, let's get snacks." "Right." A few days later in the grocery store, Sabrina's turn to shop for the house, she rounded a corner and bumped carts with a man. "My bad," he said with an easy smile, turning into the next aisle. Sabrina continued down her list. "Tissue." She rose on tiptoe, reaching, failing. A hand appeared beside hers and plucked the pack down effortlessly. "Thanks," she said, accepting it, and did a double take. You're the guy from earlier." "Yep," he said, smiling wider. He was handsome in a soft, approachable way. Sabrina blinked, flustered. Do you still have a lot to buy?" "A little." "Want to walk together?" Something about him felt safe. She nodded. When they checked out, he helped carry the bags and loaded them into the SUV. "Thank you," she said, breathless. "Really?" "No problem." He wiped his hand on his jeans and offered it. "I'm Adrian." "Sabrina." She realized she was staring and jerked her hand back, cheeks hot. "You look familiar," Adrian said, squinting. "Have we met?" "Big world, lots of faces," Sabrina said quickly. "Anyway, I have to go. Nice meeting you." "You too, Sabrina," he said, tapping her shoulder lightly. She blushed again. Back at the mansion, the house buzzed. "What's going on?" Sabrina asked Gina in the laundry room. "Their eldest son's visiting." "They have another son?" Gina nodded. "Yep, he's handsome, like Aaron," another staffer chimed in. "He doesn't have to be handsome," Sabrina muttered. "He just has to be nothing like Aaron." "Take these juices to the balcony," Mrs. Thompson called from the kitchen. "They're out there." "Yes, Mom." Sabrina carried the tray carefully. "Please don't let Aaron embarrass me in front of his brother," she prayed. She still remembered the coffee fiasco and, unconsciously, stared at the glasses for a moment. What if he says they're bland, not cold enough? What if I spill? She headed out. Two men sat at the table. She approached, eyes on the tray. "Sir, here are your—" She looked up and stopped. "You?" Adrian looked just as surprised, then grinned. "You're the woman I told you about," he said to Aaron. "You two know each other?" Aaron asked, gaze flicking between them. "Yes," Adrian said. "She's the pretty woman I mentioned." Heat fluttered in Sabrina's chest at the compliment. "Give me that," Aaron said, standing to take the tray from her. "Go back inside." Sabrina glanced over her shoulder as she retreated. Adrian was still watching her, smiling, and he gave her a small wave. She smiled back and slipped into the house. When Adrian turned, he caught the chill in his brother's eyes. "What's with the look, little bro? Do you like her?" "She's our housekeeper," Aaron said flatly. "Laundry's her specialty. That's all she knows. Can't even make coffee or juice right. That's why we keep her on those basic tasks. Remember that? She's the laundry girl." Adrian's brow arched. "What are you talking about?" Aaron smirked. "She's mine." "Hold up," Adrian laughed. "You spend all your breath looking down on her, and now you're claiming her. You heard me. So do you like her, or—" "I never said that," Aaron snapped. "You literally just said, 'she's mine.' You're being possessive." "I want to mess with her. I'm the only one allowed to make her life hard," Aaron said. "In the bedroom?" Adrian teased. "She's not that kind of girl," Aaron shot back automatically. "I know," Adrian said, thoughtful, "and if I find out you break her heart, I'll marry her." "Your funeral will come before that wedding," Aaron said with a dangerous smile. They both laughed it off, their usual brotherly banter. They were close, just the two of them. Later that night, Chelsea and Sabrina traded gossip in their room. "So what do you think of Sir Pretty Face number 2? Chelsea grinned. "I already met him," Sabrina said. "What? How?" "He's the gentleman from the grocery store." "No way." "Him," Sabrina nodded. "They're nothing alike." "Happens with brothers," Chelsea shrugged. "By the way, are you and Aaron okay now? He did save you from drowning." Sabrina nodded. "That's true. Come on, it's payday eve. Let's go out tomorrow. Our day off." Hours later, with much cajoling from Chelsea and Gina, Sabrina agreed. That night, they dressed for an upscale bar downtown. Chelsea vetoed Sabrina's first choices, too old-fashioned, and lent her a simple black dress. "Manifesting rich hotties tonight," Chelsea giggled, and Gina high-fived her. They headed to their reserved table upstairs, a hookup from a waiter friend. Neon lights pulsed over a crowded dance floor. "This place is gorgeous," Chelsea sighed. "What are you drinking?" the waiter asked. "Anything that will get us tipsy," Chelsea said. They took pictures, laughed, and passed drinks around. Sabrina wasn't much of a drinker, so she sipped slowly. When she needed the restroom, she slipped downstairs, asked for directions, and followed the pointing hand. On her way back, the music and lights and laughter washed over her. Someone offered her a drink on the dance floor. She took it without thinking. One drink became 2, then 3. The world became soft, buoyant, unreal. The next morning, Sabrina woke in a strange bed beside a man. Panic clawed up her spine. "What did you do, Sabrina?" she whispered to herself, clutching her hair. She tried to recall the night, but everything was blurry. One thing, though, she knew. She had wanted it. The man rolled toward her, and Sabrina's heart lurched. Aaron. Her pulse thundered as she stared at his peaceful, sleeping face. The first time she'd ever really looked at him like this, she understood why Chelsea and Gina called him gorgeous. "Don't even," she scolded herself. "Do not start thinking he's handsome just because of what happened. What happens when he realizes he had a one-night stand with the housekeeper?" Sabrina slipped out of bed and dressed as quietly as she could, fleeing Aaron's condo, shame burning her cheeks. At the mansion, Chelsea met her at the door. "Where have you been? You're just getting back." Sabrina fumbled. "I hung out at a convenience store to clear my head, then fell asleep. Just woke up." "Sure," Chelsea said, squinting. "Just admit it. You had a one-night stand, didn't you?" Sabrina's heart dropped into her shoes. "No," she laughed weakly. "You're crazy. I'm going to shower." In the bathroom, she pressed her back to the door and exhaled shakily. "God, Sabrina, what did you do? Of all the men, why Aaron?" A hot shower did little to erase the memory of his gentle hands and the way their bodies had fit in the dark. She crawled into bed and slept. It was her day off. By afternoon, fever tugged at her body. She woke to a cool hand on her forehead. Chelsea frowned down at her. "Sabrina, you're burning up." Sabrina swallowed. Fever, was it from last night? She tucked away darker thoughts. "Where does it hurt?" Chelsea asked. "My head," Sabrina lied. "Too much alcohol." Gina poked her head in. "Dang, you're sick. We were going to swim later and grill, but next time. Rest. We'll bring you food." Sabrina stared up at the ceiling, trying to recall more, but her head just throbbed. She drifted off again. By evening, the staff were in the yard with Richard, passing around beers and barbecue. Aaron joined late, scanning the crowd. "Looking for someone, sir?" Chelsea asked. "Where's Sabrina?" "She's not here," he said. "She's in her room." "Fever," Gina replied. Aaron's jaw tightened. He left without a word, took the stairs 2 at a time, and opened Sabrina's door. She jolted upright. "What are you doing here? You've got a fever." "Isn't it obvious?" she shot back, a little sharper than intended. He sat on the edge of the bed and, without asking, touched her forehead. Heat climbed into her cheeks for a new reason. "You've been here months and never this sick," he murmured. "What did you even do?" He doesn't remember, Sabrina realized, heartbeat stuttering. Like me last night, too drunk, too dark. If I hadn't seen him this morning, I wouldn't have known either. "It's nothing, sir," she said quickly. Better he didn't know. He squinted. "Did you gain weight?" Even feverish, Sabrina bristled. "Really? You're going to tease me now?" "What do you want to eat?" he asked, ignoring the jab that nearly flew out of his own mouth. She blinked. Of all the things she expected, more bickering, this wasn't it. "I'll handle it." "Lie down," he said, standing. "Rest." When he returned, he fed her himself, ignoring her protests. "I can do it," she muttered. "I'm the boss. I decide. It's my day off. Eat." "Fine." "Don't tell me you're full," he said, when she slowed halfway through the soup. "You've barely touched it." He stirred the bowl and coaxed her to finish, then gave her medicine. He tucked the blanket under her chin like she was the important one and he was the help. "Why are you doing this?" Sabrina blurted as he adjusted the covers. Aaron looked away, throat bobbing. He licked his lips, then said, almost shyly, "Because I like you." "What?" Sabrina blinked. "I mean, I still want to make your life difficult," he added in a hurry, springing to his feet. "So hurry up and get better. Don't bore me by being sick." "Oh, so it's my fault," she said, eyes narrowing. "Because you're big." Aaron froze. "What? Did I say that out loud?" "Nothing. Thanks for the soup. You can leave now." "Get well," he said softly, brushing a thumb over her cheek before he left. Sabrina touched the spot he'd grazed. "Did he worry about me?" "Get it together," she scolded herself. "He just wants you healthy so he can start teasing you again." The next morning, Sabrina was at the sink when nausea slammed into her. She barely made it to the bathroom in time. "Are you pregnant?" Chelsea asked, wide-eyed, having just witnessed the retching. Sabrina's stomach plunged. "No, I must have eaten something weird." "Mm-hmm," Chelsea said, doubtful. "You don't have a boyfriend?" "It's unlikely." When Chelsea left, Sabrina leaned on the counter, terror pooling in her chest. It was possible, no protection. That night neither of them remembered clearly. "Please, no," she whispered. She buried herself in chores, trying to silence the thought. "You're just late. You're stressed. That's all." Days passed, then weeks. The morning sickness grew. She kept telling herself she was tired, overworked, but she was tired of lying to herself too. "You can do this," Sabrina told herself, sitting in a mall restroom on her day off. She stared at the pregnancy test in her shaking hands. Tears spilled when the second red line appeared. "I'm pregnant," she breathed. Joy, fear, 1,000 feelings at once, but fear was the loudest. Because the father didn't even know. And if he found out, would he believe her? And if he did, then what? Would he take responsibility? Would his family accept her? Would they try to take the baby? In the end, Sabrina chose to keep it from him. "You're really pregnant," Chelsea squeaked later, then winced when Sabrina shushed her. "Sorry, but who's the father? You never mentioned a boyfriend." "That doesn't matter," Sabrina said, palms on her belly. "What matters is, I'm the mom. And I won't abandon my baby. I'm telling you because I trust you, and because you've suspected it for a while." She took Chelsea's hand. "Please, don't tell anyone. I can't lose this job. I need the money. Now more than ever." "You can count on me," Chelsea said, hugging her. "You and the baby." Over the next 2 months, only Chelsea and Jenna knew. They took Sabrina's heavier tasks when they could. "I'll vacuum." "You wipe down the table," Jenna said one afternoon. "Thanks," Sabrina murmured, picking up a cloth as Adrian walked in. "Oh, Sir Adrian," she said, "would you like something to drink? Or eat?" "Apple juice, please." She brought it to the table, and a pan of lasagna to the counter. "That smells amazing," Adrian said, inhaling. "Who cooked?" "I did, sir." Aaron requested lasagna earlier. "Where is he?" "Upstairs. He hasn't come down yet." Adrian served himself a square. "That's mine," came a familiar voice. Adrian paused mid-bite. Aaron jogged down the stairs, plucked the fork from Adrian's hand, and popped the bite into his own mouth. "Seriously?" Adrian said, half laughing. "You got the first bite? Can I eat now? I've been drooling since I smelled it." Aaron returned the fork grudgingly and sat across from him, arms crossed, watching him eat. "Planning to get me a plate?" he snapped. Sabrina jumped and hurried to set a plate and fork in front of him. "Here you go, sir." "Feed me," Aaron said. Sabrina stared. Adrian's eyes danced. Annoying his brother was his favorite sport. Sabrina, face set, spooned a bite and offered it. She practically stabbed the lasagna with the fork, knuckles white. "It's delicious," Adrian said cheerfully, glancing at Aaron's scowl. "Sabrina," Aaron said, crooking a finger. She leaned in. "Sit here," he said, tapping his thigh. Sabrina gaped. Fear of his cutting stare made her obey, perching stiffly. "Open," he said. She parted her lips, and a small, involuntary sound slipped out with the breath. Aaron's eyes went wide. Adrian's too. "Not with him," Aaron murmured in a low, possessive voice, leaning close to her ear. "If you make that sound, do it in private, with me." Sabrina swallowed hard and stared straight ahead, finished the bite, then stood. "Stay away from my brother," Aaron said, catching her wrist when she tried to leave. "Why?" she asked, bewildered. She knew her place. She wasn't flirting with Adrian. "Because I'll get jealous," he said tightly. "What, sir?" He met her eyes, pain flickering there. "Isn't it obvious? I like you." "You don't know what you're saying," Sabrina whispered, yanking her hand free. "Forget it. What's wrong with me liking you? You don't have a boyfriend, do you?" "I'm pregnant," she said bluntly. Aaron went silent. "So forget whatever you think you feel," Sabrina said, and walked away. "Whose is it?" he asked to her back. "It doesn't matter," she said. "There's no us. I already have a child to think about." "It's okay," he said after a beat. "I can love you both." Sabrina froze. She wanted to tell him, "You're the father," but fear held her back. What if he was just playing? What if his feelings weren't real? She couldn't risk it. She left, heart aching. From then on, Aaron came home more often. Sabrina thought he'd throw her out when his parents learned she was pregnant. Instead, the Sullivans insisted she stay, on salary, but stop doing heavy work, only light duties in the kitchen. "Why are you doing this for me?" Sabrina asked Christine one afternoon as they sat on the bed picking out maternity clothes the older woman had bought for her. The Sullivans believed Sabrina had been impregnated by someone else. "Because my son loves you," Christine said simply, "and because you're a good person. We feel that. That's enough reason to be good to you." "Even if I'm disgraced?" Sabrina whispered. "Don't say that," Christine chided gently. "Your worth isn't measured by that. You are a brave woman carrying life. That is noble. Remember that." She squeezed Sabrina's hand. "You make my son happy, more than you know. He's changed so much since he fell for you, and as we've told you, stop doing laundry, help in the kitchen, lighter work." Sabrina had noticed Aaron changing too. He wasn't teasing her like before. He was patient, present. When it was time for her checkup, Christine walked Sabrina to the car. Aaron held the door. "I can go with the driver," Sabrina protested. "My son won't allow it," Christine said with a knowing smile. She shut the door. "Go on." Sabrina was 6 months along now. Aaron had been there for every mood swing, every craving, every appointment he could make. Sometimes he even took leave from the firm. "Excited to learn the baby's gender?" the doctor asked during the ultrasound. "Yes, doctor," Sabrina said, breath hitching as the wand slid across her belly. "It's a girl," the doctor said. Tears filled Sabrina's eyes. She glanced at Aaron, who stood beside her, eyes fixed on the monitor, joy bright in his gaze. She wanted to tell him then, "She's yours," but fear still had her by the throat. After the appointment, Aaron took her to a department store to shop for baby things. He was practically buzzing as they walked into the infant section. "Excuse me," he asked a clerk. "Where are the cribs?" "Right this way, sir." Aaron took Sabrina's hand and gently tugged her along. "What do you think of these two?" "They're both beautiful," Sabrina said, "and both expensive." "Don't worry about the price. I've got it. I'd buy the whole store for you and our child if I had to." "Our child?" Sabrina echoed, wondering. "When I fell in love with you," he said, holding her gaze, "I fell in love with your baby too." "Thank you," she whispered, hugging him because words felt too small. He became her partner in everything. Doctor's visits, cravings, late-night back rubs. He loved them both, even without knowing the truth. Back at the house, Chelsea and Gina admired the nursery. "This baby's room is gorgeous," Chelsea said. "Engineer," Gina teased, nodding toward the tiny ledges, the careful lighting, the safe rounded corners. Aaron had designed and built much of it himself. "Time flies," Chelsea added. "Seems like yesterday you told us, and now you're due any day." "God, please let it be smooth and safe," Sabrina murmured, rubbing her belly. When Aaron came in, the others slipped out. He closed the door, sat beside Sabrina, and laid a hand over their daughter. The baby kicked, and his smile curved, astonished and sweet. "Hey," he said, when Sabrina's face crumpled and tears spilled again. "Does it hurt?" "I won't touch." "No, I'm happy," she laughed through the tears, "because you take care of us." "I love you," he said simply, kneeling to press his ear to her belly. "Feels like you're carrying a watermelon." "What if it is a watermelon?" she teased. "And I'm just pranking you." He looked up, smiling. "Then we'll eat it." She swatted his arm. "You." Then pain rippled across her abdomen. Her smile vanished. "Aaron, I think I'm in labor." He scooped her up without hesitating. Hours later, Sabrina's delivery was successful, difficult but safe, with Aaron and the doctors by her side. "The baby's here," the nurse said cheerfully, wheeling in the tiny crib. Aaron was the first to lift the little girl. Sabrina watched him cry as he stared down at the baby in his arms. "She's so adorable," he whispered, unable to look away. The room was quiet. Chelsea and Gina had stepped out to get food. When the baby fussed, he handed her to Sabrina. Aaron sat on the edge of the bed, playing with the baby's tiny fist. "Even if she isn't mine," he said softly to the child, "I want you to know I'll love you like you are." "She's yours," Sabrina said. Aaron looked up, confused. "What?" She's your daughter, Aaron, Sabrina said, tears streaking her face. She's yours. Aaron, she said again when he swayed and fainted. Aaron came to hours later, sitting up to find Sabrina cradling the baby, the child she'd just told him was his. My child? He asked, stunned. How? The parking garage outside the bar, the night we met there, Sabrina said. You took me to your condo. Something happened between us. I barely remember. I was so drunk, not myself. It was dark in your car too. Maybe that's why we didn't see each other's faces. I remember you trying to stop me, but I wouldn't listen. The next morning, when I woke up, I realized it was you. Aaron cupped her face, studying her with worried eyes. Why didn't you tell me right away? I was scared, Sabrina said, shaking her head. I thought what happened meant nothing to you. I figured I was just another girl you'd been with. No, he said quickly. You're not. He kissed her forehead. I regretted that night, because I thought I'd cheated on you. What? I felt sick about it, especially when you got ill afterward. I felt disgusting because that same night I'd had a one-night stand. He winced. I thought I'd betrayed you. You don't need to feel guilty, she said softly. We weren't together then. You didn't have feelings for me yet. Aaron shook his head. I already loved you, Sabrina. That's why I felt so guilty. At first I kept trying to forget you, distract myself, deny what I felt. But then one morning I woke up, and the feeling was already too deep. I couldn't climb out of it. I love you, he whispered, lifting the strand of hair that had fallen over her eyes. I love you, Sabrina answered, meeting his gaze through tears. He kissed her, gently, fully awake, with no alcohol and no fog between them. When Richard and Christine arrived, the two explained everything. The parents were confused at first, but came around, overjoyed as they held their granddaughter. They named her Amara Celine. Sabrina told her family too. She's beautiful, her mother said, cradling Amara. I'm sorry I couldn't be there sooner. I didn't want you to worry, Sabrina said. Her mother understood. She always had a soft, patient heart. One morning, Sabrina woke to find herself back at the Sullivans' home, with her mother and younger brother there too. Without telling her, Aaron had sent for them from Ohio. The reunion was tearful. It had been almost a year since they'd all been together. Sabrina felt whole again. You look amazing, Aaron murmured later as she came down the stairs. Isn't this awkward? She asked, cheeks warm. Of course not, he said. Right, baby. He bounced Amara, now months old and thriving. Sabrina kissed her daughter. Mommy's going to do this for you, she whispered. The Sullivans had offered Sabrina a scholarship. Her dream of finishing college, derailed by hardship, could finally resume, and she wouldn't waste the chance. Ready for our cameo? Chelsea laughed as she and Gina appeared in matching school uniforms. They were enrolling too. Still in their mid-20s with potential to spare, they'd been urged by the Sullivans to study rather than stay forever as house staff. The employers had learned the women had been slowly saving for tuition for years. I'll drive, Aaron said. Samuel can take us, Sabrina protested, glancing toward the driver. I'll do it. It's your first day, Aaron insisted. He handed Amara to Mrs. Thompson. We'll be back after drop-off. At the college, he ran around to open Sabrina's door. Good thing I'm independent, Chelsea teased. You're just single, Aaron shot back, grinning. Say that to my face, sir, Chelsea joked, and everyone laughed until Aaron pulled Sabrina in and kissed her goodbye. Okay, that's enough, Chelsea said, dragging Sabrina away. We'll be late. Sabrina's first day back at school was joyful. She never imagined that years after dropping out, she'd return to finish what she'd started. Aaron supported her in everything, not only caring for Amara, but also tutoring her when classes got tough. As a licensed civil engineer, numbers and problem sets were second nature to him. You explain better than my professor, Sabrina said one night, staring at her tax notes. Enjoy the process, Aaron replied. It's easier to learn when you're not forcing it. The more pressure you pile on yourself, the harder it becomes. How can I enjoy it when my professor's such a grouch? She pouted. I'm grumpy with you sometimes. Ah, but you spoil me after kisses, snacks, cravings satisfied. And your professor can't do that, he said firmly. Only I can. Not your professor, not Adrian, not anyone. I'm Aaron Sullivan. He sealed it with a kiss. I love you, Sabrina whispered, eyes closed as his mouth brushed hers. I love you, he said, breathless between kisses, peppering her cheeks until she laughed. Are you still jealous of your brother? She teased later. Of course not, he said too fast, then stood and flopped onto the bed, tugging the blanket over his head. You can figure it out yourself. Sabrina chuckled, set her notes aside, and crossed to him. He could be 28, a grown man and a licensed engineer, and still act like a boy. She slid under the blanket and hugged him from behind. I love you, she murmured. He rolled to face her, lips playfully puckered. I need a kiss with that. She obligingly dotted his face with kisses until he smiled for real. I love you, Aaron said again. I love you too, she answered, and they drifted off, curled together. Time flew. We did it. We're graduating. Gina, Chelsea, and Sabrina squealed, jumping with their diplomas. Gratitude swelled in them for Richard and Christine. None of this would have been possible without the Sullivans' generosity. Your guys are coming, Chelsea said, nodding down the aisle. Congratulations, love. I'm proud of you, as always, Aaron whispered, pulling Sabrina close. Thank you, she said, hugging him tightly. Mommy's graduating, Sabrina told Amara, setting a tiny black cap on her daughter's head. Take a picture of us? Chelsea offered, stepping back with the phone. In one shot, Aaron held Amara with Sabrina beside them. In the next, both parents kissed their daughter's cheeks. They looked like the happiest family in the world. After photos, they went to eat at Adrian's restaurant. Everything's so good, Chelsea sighed. Of course, Jenna said. Chef Adrian led the kitchen. I hope you're enjoying the food, Adrian said, stopping by. We are, Sabrina smiled. If I'd known you were a chef, I never would have let you taste my lasagna. I'm embarrassed now. Why? Yours was great, Adrian said. Great, but your standard's different. You're an international chef, Sabrina said. No wonder you were abroad. Adrian nodded. I worked as a head chef at a 5-star restaurant overseas. When I came back to the States, I decided to open my own place. It's been almost 4 years now. It turned out beautifully, Sabrina said. Congrats to all of you, Adrian replied, then smirked at Aaron. I'll congratulate you when you finally get married. The table went quiet. Sabrina ducked her head, a swirl of shyness and hope. 4 years together, a child. And not once had Aaron proposed. She'd tried not to think about it. Maybe he was waiting for something. Maybe he didn't want to rush. Late that night, with Amara asleep downstairs in their hotel room, Aaron and Sabrina slipped up to the rooftop to catch the breeze. It's cold, Sabrina said, dipping her toes into the pool. Come here, Aaron called. She swam to him despite the chill, and he wrapped her up in a warm embrace. The view is beautiful, she murmured, staring out over the bright city. Tiny lights glittered below, string lights twinkled around the rooftop. The pool glowed. Aaron hugged her from behind, his nose tracing the curve of her neck and down her shoulder. Will you marry me? He whispered, so soft she almost missed it. She turned, eyes wide. Their gazes met. Aaron produced a diamond ring, and tears filled her eyes. Will you be my partner for life? He asked. I thought you weren't going to marry me, she said, laughing and crying at once. We've been together for years. We have a child. You never asked. You don't know how hard it's been not to, he said, stroking her cheek. I've wanted to marry you forever. But I held back because I wanted you to graduate. With your mother's last name on your diploma. She carried you through so much. She deserved that honor. Sabrina nodded, tears spilling. So that's why. And I knew you had goals, like that diploma, he added. So I stopped myself and just supported you. Now she understood. Aaron hadn't been indifferent. He'd been thoughtful. Now that you've achieved those things, he said, you can take my last name if you want. But I won't force you. I'll wait until you're truly ready. I am ready, she said, voice steady. I want to be your Mrs. Sullivan. So that's a yes, he asked, grinning. Yes, Engineer Aaron Sullivan, she said, hands shaking as she slid the ring onto his finger. I love you. He kissed her, Sabrina, now his fiancée. Where are we going? She asked weeks later, as they drove after a meeting with the wedding designer. She'd assumed they were heading home, but Aaron took a different route and stopped before a large house. This isn't your parents' place, she said, puzzled. I know, he replied, hopping out to open her door. What are we doing here? We still have an appointment. I'm taking you home, he said. What do you mean? To our home, he said, holding out a set of keys. You mean? Yes, he said, our house. You had this built already. I started it when you were still in school, he said. It took years to finish because it had to be perfect. She flung her arms around him, overflowing with happiness. Inside, the layout felt airy and warm, big enough for their growing family. Best of all, Aaron had set aside rooms for her mother and brother, each one comfortable and looking out over a lovely view. Sabrina felt like she was dreaming. They saved the master suite for last, a third-floor sanctuary just for them. Getting married, this is really happening, Chelsea said on the wedding morning, hugging Sabrina as the room buzzed. I'm so happy for you, Sissy, Gina added, joining the embrace. In minutes, they'd head to the church. Sabrina studied herself in the vanity mirror. Aaron told her every day that she was beautiful, but today felt different. She truly believed it. Mommy, Amara said, toddling over in her flower girl dress. You look so beautiful, Sabrina said, crouching to hug her almost 5-year-old. Amara scattered petals down the aisle later, stealing everyone's hearts. She was bright and curious. At 3, she'd started ballet and violin. Her parents encouraged her to try everything she wanted to try. The church doors opened. Sabrina fought back tears as she walked toward the altar. Before God and everyone they loved, she and Aaron vowed forever. I love you, Mrs. Sullivan, Aaron said before kissing his bride. The day ended bursting with love. One morning, a small body bounced on their bed. Mommy, Daddy. What time is it, baby? Aaron mumbled. It's time for school. Oh, shoot, right, Sabrina laughed, springing up to help Amara get ready while Aaron burrowed into the covers, exhausted. Sabrina prepped breakfast and a lunchbox, then went upstairs to wake him. He lay on his stomach, blanket to his waist, broad back bare. Up, Sabrina said, kneeling on the mattress. You wore me out last night, he grumbled, eyes still closed. She burst into giggles. He wasn't wrong, neither of them had slept much. You said you were tired from work, and then… I can't resist you, he said, looping an arm around her waist and pulling her down. I love you. I love you, she whispered. Thank you for everything. They were inches from a kiss when a tiny voice cut in. Should I bring a pot of water to cool you two off? Amara asked dryly from the doorway, hands on hips. We're coming, they answered in unison, laughing as they scrambled to the kitchen. Amara was precocious and independent, shaped by the grown-ups who adored her. Thank you, Daddy. You're welcome, baby, Aaron said, ruffling her hair. Sabrina clapped her hands. Just us 3 today. My mum and brother went back to Ohio last week. Your uncle didn't want to leave your grandma. After eating, they headed out. It was Amara's first day at a new school, but she already read in English and Spanish. Mother and daughter often played teacher together at home. Do great today, Sabrina said. Yes, Mommy. If anyone picks on you, tell your teacher, Sabrina added. Don't fight. I can handle it, Amara said with brave seriousness. Fighter, huh? Aaron grinned. Good girl. If the teacher's not there, you're allowed one well-placed kick, he added. Sabrina swatted his arm. Don't teach her nonsense. I'm teaching her to protect herself, Aaron said. Bullying shouldn't be tolerated. Their daughter nodded solemnly. But be careful, Sabrina said. Avoid trouble if you can. Okay, Aaron said, then chuckled, kidding about the punching. Sabrina laughed. Go on, or you'll be late. Amara kissed them both and disappeared into the building. They watched until she was out of sight, then called Mrs. Thompson to come keep an eye on the house later so someone would be with Amara after school. Both parents had work. Sabrina wrapped her arm through Aaron's as they headed to the car. She worked in his office now as his executive assistant. He preferred having his wife close, and she liked that too. Work never kept them from seeing each other. Here's your coffee, Engineer Sullivan, Sabrina said later, setting a cup on his desk. Sugar and creamer are here, so you can adjust the sweetness yourself. And if it gets cold, the thermos is right there. Aaron chuckled. You still haven't forgotten our first coffee war. You tortured me, she huffed. If you knew how many miles I walked across that house, back and forth with those cups. I'm sorry, he said, pulling her into his lap. I love you. He kissed her cheek. You make it up to me, she admitted. From the moment you started courting me until now, you're the one who makes my morning drinks. If it's not coffee, it's milk or hot chocolate. I'll serve you all my life, he said, kissing her again. Someone might walk in, she whispered, feeling his hand at her waist. I locked the door, he murmured, and something small clinked as he tossed it aside. Sabrina gasped when she realized what he'd just removed. She laughed and kissed him, breathless. Ever done this with a former assistant? She teased. Of course not, he said. You can cut me if I'm lying. She laughed again and kissed him harder. On a rare free Saturday, they picnicked by the lake. It's so pretty here, Amara said, running ahead. Careful, Sabrina called. Under the big tree, she spread the mat while Aaron set up a small tent. He snapped a photo of his girls, twinning outfits and all, before Amara ran off to play fetch with their dog. Sabrina and Aaron sat together. Thank you, he said, handing her a sandwich he'd made. She took a bite, savoring it. Aaron? I think I'm pregnant. Really? He asked, eyes lighting. Are you sure? I just feel like it, she said, not 100%. I'm the shooter here, he joked softly. Pretty sure. And if I'm wrong? Then we can make it true, he said with a wink. But if you're right, great. Lately I've been dizzy, she admitted, like when I was pregnant with Amara. When we get back to the city, we'll see our OB, he said, kissing her forehead. I love you. Amara ran back with red santan-like blooms she'd found. Sabrina taught her to make a little crown and bracelet from the flowers. They camped overnight, roasted hot dogs and marshmallows by a bonfire, and Amara cheered at every little thing. Back home, the OB confirmed it. Sabrina was pregnant. Careful, Aaron said later in the clinic hallway, guiding her hand. Slow down. If you hold me any tighter, I'll trip just from being overly protected, she teased. He grinned, unbothered. As with the first pregnancy, he was there for every appointment. Even as a CEO and engineer, he stayed hands-on at home. At 4 months, Sabrina moved more cautiously. Aaron promised to take care of her and both their kids. Traffic inched forward, and they rolled on toward the home they'd built. A peaceful place, full of laughter for their growing family. And that was the happy ending of the housekeeper and the CEO engineer, Sabrina and Aaron. Thank you for listening.